Good evening and welcome to the UpSet podcast. Tonight we are talking about what's next after this election, coming up next. All right. Once again, welcome back to the UpSet podcast. We're so happy that you tuned in this Sunday evening. And I'm also happy that I don't have to show up here by myself. Not today. I'm here with friends. Hey, guys. How's it going?
Doing all right.
It's a Sunday.
It's Sunday. You're right. And we're here.
Sunday.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are here. Hello to the people joining us who are watching us from wherever you are. Thanks for being here with us this evening. Happy Sunday to all of you. We were just looking, tomorrow is Veterans Day, right? So we definitely want to shout out all of our veterans, and thank you for
your service.
That's Keenan. Right?
Yeah.
Keenan's the only one in the group.
Yeah.
That was in the service. I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Hello, Mary. We can always count on Mary, right? Thanks for being here with us, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Steve? That's Steve. What's up, Steve?
That's our boy Steve. Yeah.
And then we have Michelle. Thanks for being here, Michelle. It's great to have you.
It's getting cold, guys. It's getting a little cold. I didn't know what to do with my heat. You turn it on one day, you turn it off. I didn't know what to do, man. But
today was
yeah.
My daughter was like, "Why is it so cold?" I was like, "It's fall. Like it really is fall. I know it hasn't felt like it, but it's time for fall to do what fall does."
Yeah, winter is coming.
Yep, it sure is. Fast and furious. Hello, Darren.
Is that TNT?
I'm gonna need some doubles, man.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Migs, don't talk to me, Migs. I'm not talking to you right now. I didn't like that text message you sent me last night. Good. I'm watching from TNT. That looks like Trinidad and Tobago, isn't that?
Is it? Oh, can we trade places?
So that's where the doubles come from.
That's what I'm saying. I need some doubles.
Yes, it is called the Ballhead Crew needs the heat on. That's time to put that on.
Wow.
But
wow. I looked through my timeline, except for the obvious. There's just a lot of deaths.
Listen.
Oh my goodness. It was just a lot. And we always say it comes in threes. This was
it's like triple three.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy, man.
Yeah, it's almost like you look at your timeline, you don't know whether you're looking at a happy birthday post or sorry to announce the passing post. It's just come that. And all ages, I mean, it's no longer just the old people in an obituary following. It's now people our age. Well, some of us are getting old.
Easy. She said our age and immediately was like, but even when I thought about it, I'm still not over. And when I say that, I'm not spiraling out of control, but I'm still not over like the pastors over the past month or 2 months, maybe, that have passed away, like young pastors that have passed away. And it's just like, what's going on?
And the sad part about that, particularly pastors, is, when you hear the statistics about how few are joining pastoral ministry these days, and then we're losing some. I'm never worried about the gospel but being spread, but it's just a wake-up call that, wow, this is definitely
hold on, you're not worried about the pastoral thing. Are you saying that you're going to join the ranks?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
all right.
God will find a way. However, those who are in that particular
He said God will find a way.
I don't know how the ministerial directors are feeling in various conferences right now, but yeah. As
There's a Latasha in the thicket.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah.
Death is coming quickly these days. Yes, it is. Yeah. Hello, Michelle. Thanks for joining us. Hi. Who is this Facebook user? I'm not. If you don't have a name, we're not showing your comments.
Now, you know what? Let me just say this for the Facebook user who's doing that. What they need to do is to go ahead and make sure that they're signed in or something like that.
Right? I think this person doesn't want to be signed in.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's see who that is. Migs, I think I know. Migs, that's one of your people from your church.
I don't know.
Nah,
But
I don't think so.
He said
no.
I got you.
No, it's all good. I know there's a game on tonight, right? Like everywhere I go, I feel like when you're in this area, when there's like an Eagles game because that's all they talk about. But I think there was a game.
I don't know. It's the Commanders.
I don't know anything about this.
Let me check it.
No. But anyway, so I feel so discombobulated. This week has between the deaths and what you were saying and between this whole election process. Of course, we're gonna talk about it. I know so many conversations have already taken place, but here we are. We're a weekly podcast, so things happen in between. But we have this ability now, a few days after, after the election would happen on Tuesday. So for some people, early Wednesday morning, we were made aware of the results. Just last week, we were on here making a case for people to exercise their right to vote and, that push to vote. And we were giving it our all. And we saw people out in the streets doing, giving it their all. And, what I was realizing is that a lot of people were emotionally invested in this process. You know what I'm saying? Because some people are like, oh, why are people all, feeling this way or that way, either happy or sad. And it was because there was a lot of emotion, whether we realize it at the time or not. I think on the other side of it, a lot of people were processing this weight for them on so many levels. And so we kind of want to talk about it now that the dust has settled in some ways. We want to talk about how people are feeling, how you're processing. And this is definitely an invitation for our audience to share with us what you're feeling, what you're thinking, because I do think perspectives are definitely, important to hear in this regard. And so just to kind of jump in, I shared with the team here that I've just taken some time to have my own feelings about everything, own my feelings, sit in my feelings, but I also have spent a lot of time over the last few days just observing and listening to others and not, allowing myself to receive information, to store it, not respond per se. So I guess maybe today is the day that I'm going to kind of release and respond to what I've processed. And I hope you all can do the same. But let's just, before we jump into some of our talking points tonight, I kind of want to check in with all of you. Someone asked if this is a funeral. Well, we do have an all black. But I don't know, red just, some people have been traumatized by that color lately. We didn't want to be insensitive to anyone. So we decided to.
There's red in it. Okay.
Subtly. But no, this is not a funeral. We're still alive and well. But yeah, guys. So just tell me, how have you been doing over the last few days?
Is this a funeral? No, you know what? Go ahead, Mix. Go ahead.
No, I want to hear your thoughts, Pat.
Oh, you don't? No, I'm just kidding. You know what? Life goes on, right? And I really mean that. I had to get to a place where over the past couple of days where I didn't watch any TV, any news. News is something that I like to, hit and miss on, but I didn't want to do all of that. And I wanted to be careful of the type of things that I posted because I like to be on social media and leave little things. But I have to say that the first day, maybe even the second, I'm going to use the word downtrodden. I mean, I felt ran over by a train. Number one, on a personal level, I don't like to lose. It doesn't make a difference. I don't care if it's a sports team, if I'm rallying for a sports team or whatever the case may be. Don't talk to me if my team lost, Yankees. Don't talk to me. Just give me a little bit of time till I got through it. But this one was a little stabbing for me because I have a problem with hate or hate mongers or whichever. And it took some prayers and continued prayers, and that's really what it is. I'm not going to back off of it because that's what it took. It took for me to go into the closet and be like, Lord, help me to recalibrate my faith in you, because I lost it for a second with him. I'm talking about my spiritual faith, and I had to be able to come back and recognize that a national election is not. I'm not going to allow that to shake my faith.
Well, that's good. Before you guys jump in, Michelle was saying, same here. She's cutting off the news for a while, and I have to say that was one of the things I had to do. It's just there's so much noise.
Yeah.
It's just the noise. It's almost like, and it's not necessarily because of who won per se,
Right.
but just the whole election. It was just too much. And you realize it, it's just so much, and it makes it's all consuming. If you watch the news, you can go from one program to the next, and then one commentary to the next, and then you're just caught up in this tailspin of politics. And
gang, before you go, Latasha, go around with the gang here.
Sorry.
It was even before the election.
Yeah, I was getting weary.
Too much, my phone kept going off, and I'm like, I don't even know this person. It just keeps going, and everywhere you turn was something else. And then you had I still have. I'm not gonna say had. I have some people who I didn't want to hear from during this because I couldn't even get my point across with them. It was just they were just coming real hard at it, and I just got tired even before it. I just knew, like you, GP, I'm just going to go ahead and vote my conscience. And I'm tired of the before, so I don't want to hear the after. Even if it was, you're right, Latasha. Even if it went my way, I still needed a break. I was still wanted a break from it. It was a lot.
It's a lot.
It was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot.
Yeah, in the same way, I was also disappointed personally, and I found myself torn on whether I should, say something, post something. Yeah. But I decided to just have a private time of lamenting where I just vent, be honest about how I feel.
Yeah.
I didn't send any text messages to any members. That Wednesday night, I talked about lamenting and how God can handle our frustrations. God can handle our cussing and fussing. He can handle it. And don't be so quick to spiritually bypass the reality to the other side of hope. You can still hold on to hope while you grieve and lament.
Right. Agree.
So just personally in my community, trying to encourage people, hey, listen, it's okay if you're not okay. It's okay to vent, to question God at this time, because the reality is God wants to hear from you, and God already knows how you feel. And so trying to spiritually bypass or spiritually explain everything immediately, it's not time.
Not healthy. Yeah.
I know what America is in Revelation 13. I know it's a beast and it's on beast mode. But right now I'm lamenting.
Yeah, I got you. I got beat up for that too online, and I go both ways with it. I got beat up for putting some things online to spiritualize it. But I'm going to tell you where I am personally. I'm sorry, Migs, I know you're coming, but to spiritualize it for me, I had to say that for me, not for anyone else. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I know that there are those who are hurting, but you got to remember, we're hurting too. Even if we put that out there, it's something that we're putting out to even help our own selves. So, I don't mind, because when someone is hurt over something, they're going to lash out. And I remember what I put out, and when I put out, it was just, they were friends. And what I don't want to happen is for the spiritualizing part to split us, because now you're splitting. We're on the same team, but it's some things are too early. Some people feel it's too early. Sometimes people feel it's. So I got hit a lot, and I decided not to go back, hit back, but just to say, hey, I'm hurt. I did this. You're hurt, and you're responding to it, and it's just the way it is.
Take it personal.
Yeah.
And about you, Migs?
Man, I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings. I will say, I don't know if this is like a defense mechanism, but I prevented myself from being emotionally attached to the candidates that I saw this year.
Okay.
This is the first election cycle where I did a lot of reading, a lot of conversations with people who don't think like me. I was listening to podcasts and just kind of like, let me open up myself to enter into different rooms, because honestly, social media has become an echo chamber, and so I want to hear the thoughts, because at the end of the day, whoever's president, I think ideally we would want them to lead the entire country and not just a portion of the country.
Sure.
Right?
Wow.
And so I want to hear what my neighbor is like, what their thoughts are. And when I say my neighbor, and I'm not just talking about people who don't look like me. I'm talking about folks that look like me but vote differently, right? And I've been questioning. I'm gonna be very honest, and I'm open to the reality that I might be chastised for this, but I've been questioning for some time if we, as spiritual leaders, if we have for too long blindly pledged our allegiance to one political party and not maintain proper balance, because I don't think we have the same level of desire to critique Democrats as we do with Republicans. And there are some concerning things if we're to maintain our prophetic place in this world. We have to be impartial in our ability to critique and say, this is not working for my people, right? And then I had another conversation with a dear colleague of mine who hit me up last week, because I put a Facebook post probably a month or two ago saying, I want to talk to Black Republicans. I want to know how you're processing information, right? I just want to have a conversation, not to critique you, but just to let's see where we can, because what the media is doing, they're releasing sound bites to rile us up.
Right.
And that's been happening for some, so effective. So effective. And they turn us against each other. And I even posted a lot, right before the election, whoever wins, whether you voted for Trump or not, I am not going to sever that line of friendship or relationship because of how you voted. I might look at you differently because I'm not sure we agree on certain things. But to be clear, I'm a registered independent.
Okay.
To be clear.
Okay.
Registered independent. Now, had a conversation with a colleague, and he brought this up. He said, Daniel's job was to serve whoever was king of Babylon. And he served four kings with excellence. Right. And he said this, and it kind of felt uncomfortable, but I'm massaging it out, and I'm still praying about this. Daniel's job was not to be Moses in Babylon. That
Mix,
was not his
call me
role.
call me after Mix. No, I'm not against what you're saying. I'm it's heavy what you're saying. It's heavy.
Yeah. And so the question that I would have for the church, what is our role in this unique time in America? And I think it's a call to revise or to re-examine our mission and focus and purpose, and to question if our long-term partnership with one particular party is going to do the job, or should we be able to work with whoever sits on the throne in the United States of America? And I think it's tough because honestly, their version of Christianity doesn't match with mine. I'm gonna put that out there. Their understanding of the Bible, their understanding of human life, their understanding of God is very different from me, or what they put out there, I should say. I'm not even sure anyone believes in God the way they be acting in politics, but
on both sides.
On both sides.
Period,
it's just one will openly say it, the other one hides behind an image. But nevertheless, I think for the future of our church and for our ability to really create lasting effect, I think, and it's going to be a hard one, I think we have to figure out how to strike that balance. I think so, like in my heart of hearts. Now, I'm sure there's other people who are more versed in this area and who are more politically, knowledgeable and all that kind of stuff, who would have a different perspective and an opinion. But I really do believe that for our future, we got to do something different. It's been 50 years. 50 years. We have been long-term buddies with this particular party.
Now, I'm not, I know you're being kind of general, but I really want to be clear on who you're talking about, because there are some, are you talking about the Black church? Are you talking about Adventists? Because
I think
there's some that are
Yeah. I think I'm speaking on the Black church in general.
Gotcha.
I think we got to maneuver a little bit quicker, or not quicker, but smarter in how we're moving
strategic
around political season. It's strategic. I felt some type of way. I'm sorry, y'all. I've been holding this for a while. I felt some type of way when Barack Obama started to speak down on Black men. I felt some type of way. And then I felt some type of way when I saw Kamala's plan for Black men. Now, in totality, I believe that they did a poor job of communicating what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris actually accomplished these last 4 years. They've done a poor job of putting that out there. Because I know people who work, alongside them. We're here in the DC area. They've done a lot. They've put some bills out there to really help us, and I don't think they did a good job of communicating. But I think they did a poor job in the last couple of months of speaking to America and speaking to Black people. I just did not care for it. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Thank you for bringing those points up. And I'm going to put up a couple of comments from our.
Natasha, give me a second before you do that. Migs, are you said you're independent, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure. I know we've been friends for a long time. I want to keep it that way. But I always love talking to you because you're a thinker. I always consider you a thinker, and I don't want, and I really mean this. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable, or any of us to feel uncomfortable with your thought process, because I always have known you to be that type of thinker. But if I want to be honest with how I feel, I'm still scared. And that's the exact words that I can use. I don't want to use fearful of this and that. I drive down the street and I'm scared. I'm wondering, when I have to say, the day before when they were boarding up all the
DC.
wind in DC, all the windows, and they were boarding up everything. I asked myself the question, why are they boarding this up? All right. This is just me talking now. Okay. It has nothing to do with what you just said, because I resonate with some of the things that you've said. I was afraid, because I said to myself, well, why are they boarding this up? Are they boarding it up in case Trump wins, or are they boarding it up just in case Kamala Harris wins? All right. It's her. Right. So if she won, and forget that, if the Democratic Party wins, we're looking at a war, or we're looking at uncivil, a civil unrest.
January 6th.
Yeah.
We're looking at that. So it frightens me. Like, my fright is not over yet. All right. I'm still simmering in it. Of course, I have faith in God. I have faith in Jesus. I do, but I still want to be careful of my surroundings, what I say, what bumper sticker may be on my car, what color I'm wearing. It almost reminds me of back in the day, Megs, in Brooklyn, where there's certain parts of the area you couldn't walk in with a color on. I know that's LA, but it was also in Brooklyn too. You know what I mean? You had to wait. You couldn't wear this type of clothes. You couldn't wear that. You couldn't listen to certain kind of music with your radio up if you're playing Brooklyn hip hop against Queens hip hop. And this thing was causing deaths. So I'm kind of uneasy when it comes to this whole political era and where we go from here. I
can relate to that, Pat, because 3 hours ago, I was literally walking on Virginia Beach with my wife, and we were walking down the whole beach boardwalk area, and up ahead, I saw a bunch of American flags, Trump flags, trucks, all in the sand right by the water. Right. And initially, I was like, hey, let's just keep walking. But I was like, nah, we're turning around because I didn't know if I would be safe, just to walk by and just occasionally glance. So I can relate to that, man. We don't know how we may be perceived just as a passerby in certain scenarios.
Right.
And I shouldn't feel like that in America. I mean, everyone should have the right to believe what they want to believe, but I mean, I can't feel safe. I'm sorry.
And I think that stems from the perception that many have felt in terms of what Trump represents. So a lot of people have felt like Trump, he supports racism, and it makes it easier for those who feel the same way to feel a little bit more bold about saying it in places. And so it's almost like once he was declared the winner, it almost felt like racism won. It almost felt like now this is acceptable. And because it's acceptable, we're on edge again, because now we don't know what's going to happen. I feel like that's kind of playing in the back of everyone's head. Like, you're passing by people and you're wondering, wow, now do you feel bolder? Do you feel like now because you got this win, now your shoulders are a little broader and you feel like you can kind of, I think that's part of the sentiments a lot of people are feeling or expressing in terms of this sense of fear, just going into spaces where, it's okay to, be this way because our leader is this way, or at least that's their interpretation. Okay.
Sure.
And I'm sorry, I had asked the people what they thought as well. So I did want to put some of them. Mary was saying that she's disappointed, but she's not surprised. She realizes that God is still in control and she has to accept what he allows. And so she had to surrender her will to his. Our Facebook user said they felt disappointment. They were blaming, like, whose fault was this? How did this happen? I heard a lot of people, and a lot of people went right on social media, like asking, like, what did you guys do? Like, we went into the and
the other countries.
Yeah.
And the other countries were like, y'all had one job, just one job.
And then this is an interesting one, guilt. Yeah. Like, what didn't I do? Did I do enough to make sure that that 38% who didn't voted? Was I being a little too loose with this thing? Some people are carrying guilt that maybe they could have done more to get the word out or spread. So thank you for sharing that.
So while you're there, Tasha, so I think this should work. Can y'all see that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. 59% of white men, 52% of white women, 20% of black men, 7% of Black women, 54% of Hispanic men, and 37% of Latino women voted for Trump. And so what are some of your thoughts on some of these stats?
Yeah, let me. Yeah, so I saw that's another place where I was doing a lot of listening, because I've seen this particular graphic a lot, and a lot of the attention went to the Latino community, in terms of, and I did listen to some commentary. After the election, I haven't really listened to much commentary on the news because, like I said, it was too much. But I know during that night when it was they were projecting that Trump was winning the Latino vote, they were saying one of the reasons why is because Trump's campaign treated the Latino voter as any other. They treated them the same way that they treated their white voters, meaning they courted them the same way. He didn't go into any detail in terms of their strategy, whereas they felt like the Harris campaign separated them as Latino, and we're treating you like Latino. And they liked that quote unquote respect of being treated like any other voter. And so, and then there were, of course, the way they were treated in terms of being catered to, and, taking them places and doing things. So, because a lot of people were in disbelief, like how could, especially with this immigration thing and, the deportation threats and things like that happen, how could this particular demographic, which we've, in many cases feel those are some who are most sensitive to that type of thing, how could they vote for something that could potentially hurt them and their family members? But it's because they believe he convinced them that I got your back till it don't. So for me, that was surprising. Just to answer your question, GP, that was surprising for me to see that so many from that particular demographic felt safe with that type of vote. But that was one observation. I have others, but I'll leave room for others to share.
I like what Steve was saying. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mix. No, go.
I think to your point, Latasha, Trump spoke to a pretty wide audience here. And I think there's a couple different things that happened that I saw. One was a lot of misinformation or lack of education on how the government actually works. Let's use the most recent hurricane in Florida and North Carolina, right? The emergency funding that came through, the $750. Same thing happened in Hawaii when they had the fires, right? $750. Now the idea is that this is all the government's going to give to me. $750 in my most, pressing crisis. And the narrative is spun that the government doesn't care for the people, right? And it's tough to combat that in someone's most pressing moment. Like, how do you argue them down that they got it wrong, right? It's what they're feeling, and the feelings are, become so overwhelming. You can't change someone's mind after that feeling. So I saw some of that. Then we have these wars going on. We have the Ukraine war. We have the war in Israel, or somebody might call it a genocide. And the response from the government and its willingness to back all of this, and seeing the military industry really crank up the wheel. As soon as we got done with this war in Afghanistan and Iraq, we're back sending stuff over and sending millions and billions over while people are feeling a pinch. I'll tell you how this. I went to buy some groceries Thursday or Wednesday, and I bought 2 peppers, one green, one red. Green one was like 60 cents. The red one was $3.
Huh?
That's a significant difference.
What's happening?
Mix, I'm waiting on you because I want to know why. I mean, what's happening?
I have no clue.
The green is more common.
The green is more common. I have no
more
clue.
in abundance. Red is special.
But if I listen to the media outlets, read a special, I got you. And it's, you know what? It is Christmas season.
Kerry said you went to the wrong store.
maybe. But you know, if you're not able to recognize, now Kamala Harris said this months ago, that a lot of these stores, a lot of these companies are creating artificial inflations in pricing. They were calling this out for a long time.
Yeah.
But all we hear is, under Trump, think life was good. I heard black folks, rappers, talking about, well, we were getting these checks.
Oh, please don't get me started.
You know, so there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Right.
We're not educated on how government actually works. What is government's response, you know, in terms of natural disasters? You know, who controls the Federal Reserve? Because that's not a political group at all. It's not controlled by any politicians. And to Pat's point, I'm concerned because Trump has nothing to lose now. And if we're to look at the character of the leader and look at his history, not necessarily all that's slung at him, but looking at his history from the late 70s and his policy of not renting to black folks, and you know, his history tells me that he cares more about his name than actually doing the right thing. And I don't believe in the man at all. And so I'm concerned about what's going to happen.
Yeah, he is extremely influential, and he single-handedly revamped the Republican Party. And even though it's his last hoorah, his influence will be there for a while.
And you know, and it's interesting because everyone's saying this election felt different. And I've always said I don't feel like it's literally Republican versus Democrat anymore. I really felt like it was Trump versus Kamala. Like I felt like it had, I mean, even of course they're associated with the party, but it felt personal. You know what I mean? Like I feel like people weren't even necessarily Republicans, but they like Trump, so they're following Trump. Like they don't even know half of the things you were saying, Miguel, in terms of the policy. They don't want to do the research. They've bought in to the person, so they are following the person. And that's the part that scares me about all this, because listen, for as long as I can remember being aware of politics and understanding what the different parties represented, I've always had respect for Republicans, respect for Democrats, respect for independents, and I've always had respect. But it's almost like this is some other type of stuff, because this isn't even about the Republican Party for me. This is about Trumpism or whatever it is. Like, it's a scary phenomenon to me, the following and the way that people follow him. I mean, granted, you know, black communities, women, they get behind Kamala because, you know, that's what we do. You know what I mean? But it's not like we're not worshiping her. You know what I mean? Like we're not. I mean, at least I'm not. Let me not speak for. But what I'm seeing in terms of how people are relating to him is a little disturbing to me, because it's almost like if he says, go do this, they will blindly go do that without even thinking about if it makes sense. But just because he said it, to me, that's the real fear in all of this. It's not, I don't even fear Republicans like that, or, you know, it's not about the parties to me anymore. To me, it's a little something else.
You know, there's, you know, I don't, you guys are too young for this, but when Detroit back in the day with Isaiah Thomas and Magic Johnson were playing.
Remember those days?
Okay, all right. You don't got to get mad about it. Okay, youngster. You hated the other group because of the fighting. I mean, I'm talking about fist fighting on the court. You know what I mean? And you always, you know, wanted to go on the side of peace. When I think that my problem is not with, the problem that I have, I see hate. And that's what burns me. I didn't see that growing up and watching Reagan. I didn't see hate with Bush. I didn't see, you understand what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't see the hate. I saw the selfishness that I thought, or I saw that, you know, you want to big up one party or the other. I saw that. You know, when I walk through Washington, D.C., I love walking through Washington, D.C. over by by the Capitol, the Republicans and the Democrats are sitting down eating with each other. Don't worry about what you see on TV. They hanging out with each other, right? At the cafes, they all eating together and carrying on.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see this one. I see a visceral hate.
Yeah, divisiveness.
And now it's good versus evil.
Yeah.
I saw that. Now I know where you at, Migs, because everything. No. The reason why I say that about Migs, well, I can say it's about GP too, is like when I think about the stuff that I like electronics and all that type of stuff, you guys read the fine print. Okay, so and that's a good thing, right? I mean, I'm not in that era of reading the fine print. I just want to know, hey, is this thing better than this one over here? Let's go with it. And I applaud you for reading the fine print, because I think there's a whole lot more involved when we're looking at the both parties, or we're looking at two. But what has turned me to vote for her either way, and I'll say it, I put it on my Facebook, etc. I don't do it at church or anything, but I do know this. When he speaks, it brings me back to when I was growing up in Brooklyn, because he was the person in Brooklyn that was the he was the one that everyone wanted to be like. So if you was a rap artist, if you was a star, it was, yo, Bill's like Trump. Everything was Trump. You had to find words to rap that would match up with the word Trump, right? It was always about Trump. And then I was around as a kid, not a kid, but I was like 18, 19 years old with the Central Park 5. Mm-hmm. We were afraid to walk the streets during that time. I remember coming home after going to Oakwood, and you come home and you're saying to yourself, there are people really after these guys and want to see them dead. That came from him. I mean, the person that came from. So for me, when I see that, I don't want to get into triggers and trauma. That's not what it is. It is I remember those days, and I see those days coming back again. And there's a fear that I have with that.
Yeah. And I wanted us to talk about some of the sentiments I saw expressed shortly after the results. I saw a couple of people. I mean, they were, and this was part of their venting. See, this is why I don't vote. Some people felt like, see, y'all got me out here. Y'all pushing me to do this. I vote, and then the person I vote for doesn't even win. This is why I don't do it, because it's all rigged. You know, you hear those types of things. How do we respond? Because though we feel disappointment when the person that we vote for in any office does not get into the post, that does not mean that is a reason why we shouldn't vote. So how do we navigate people who feel like, now I'm more resolved that I'm not going to vote the next time because I did it, it didn't work out, that's it?
Well, in a democracy, you don't always get to have your way, but you can always have your say. And you have your say expressed through a vote. This is how I would like my country to be. But you might not always get your way. That's a reality you have to grapple with. It's tough to lose, but the fact that you voted, you did the right thing.
Right. It's almost like when we were kids. You know how you used to pout, and your parents would have to like, come on now, it's not about that. You know, it's about how you behave, and you have to be a good sport, right? Honestly, it's the same concept for things like this. You did what you were supposed to do. Sometimes it doesn't work out. It doesn't mean that you still didn't do what you were supposed to do, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, I just felt sad that people felt that way. They felt justified in feeling like their votes don't matter. But yeah, I saw a little bit of that. And this is one, Pat, that probably some of your people were feeling. I don't need your Bible quotes right now. Okay. You know, people, and I get it. You know, we're spiritual people. We want to come in and comfort people with the word of God, because really that's what the Bible's for, right? It's for learning, instruction, but it's also for comfort. And some of us came in strong with it, you know, and a lot of times, like you, Pat, I think it was because people needed it for themselves. So they're posting it to get themselves, and let me put it out there so that I can start feeling this thing. And people are like, nah, miss me with that. I don't want to hear that. Like,
you know what, Latasha, I also think that those of us who have a say, or those of us, GP, who's online and have a bit of a following, you have a responsibility. I feel that I have a responsibility of being careful of the things that I say, some of the things that I post. I do believe that there's a responsibility level there, but yes, also we have to also remind people that you have feelings too. There are some things that you don't know what else to say. And I understand that, because I have this big thing at funerals that be careful of what you say to people, because you don't know how what they're going through, or sometimes we say things we don't really mean it to be that way. But what I do have a problem with, and I'll say it here, you can go ahead and slit my throat all you want. I'm a Christian. I believe that if I did not have the faith that I have right now, in God, I mean, if I don't have that faith, I don't know how I would literally survive. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I have to say something that's going to make me feel like I feel better, and not just feel better, but I'm hoping somebody else listens to it. So some of the things that I got back was, we need to form like Voltron and get out there and the next thing that comes up, we got to march together. I agree. The next time we do this, we all got to stand together. I agree with all of that, but I'm not an atheist, okay? And I'm not
you can't abandon your faith because something, you're feeling.
I'm not going to give up my faith for that. So if I make a statement that says, "Hey, now I didn't make this statement like God's in charge," I get it. Mine was almost that way. It doesn't matter what you say. If you spiritualize it, you're going to over spiritualize it to some people.
But I think you had a good analogy though there, Pat, with the funeral. And when people are grieving, you say, what are the things you're not supposed to say that we think are helping? Something like, I know how you feel, or God knows, or it's God's will, or something like that.
God's will. I know
and
how
people
you feel.
are like, I don't want to hear that when I just lost my life. I think it was probably the same thing. I think people really treated this like a lot, like they lost this thing.
It's grief,
and they know it. I mean, it's in the back of their head, but saying that, I think people are viewing that as don't feel the way you're feeling right now, and people want permission to say, I'm upset, I'm angry, and I want to express that first. I'll get back to that in a second. But
what else I teach, guys? I teach this. It's okay to be angry with God.
Right.
And I think that we have a problem with questioning God, where it's okay to question God. Most of our prophets have questioned God. And I do. I say, God, if this is your will, you need to show me how. Or you need to tell me where this is going to go. And here's the other side of it. We may never see it. All right. We may never get the answer in our lifetime. Right. And that's where I believe we have to have that faith in God. Now I'm upset about it still, but take out the voting side of it. Take out this whole election process. There are things that have happened in our lives that we still ask God questions about. And there's things that have happened with our children, or there are things that have happened in the jobs that we hold, and we still ask God why. And I do think that sometimes it's a little bit too soon, but okay, I choose not to clap back, because if I clap back, I'm just as good as who wanted to divide us in the first place. There are no Republicans that's calling me or that's texting me back or DMing me talking about, oh, it's the will of God. It's the will of God. None of them are doing it. So who is doing it? It's our own that we're on the same side. So now what are we doing? We are now infighting because of something that has happened on the outside, right? And splitting hairs between all of us. We're doing exactly what they want us to do.
Yeah. Go ahead, GP.
So thinking about God's will. So I'm gonna share this image because I preached it yesterday. I preached a sermon entitled "I'll Give You What You Want" from 2 Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 8, when they wanted a king.
Yes, sir.
And God's like, he's gonna take your animals, your children. He's gonna tax you a lot.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we don't care. I still want a king. And God was like, I'll give you what you want.
Yes.
And God allowed them to have what they wanted. And so when we say, oh, that was God's will, we can't just use that every time we don't get our way. God might have wanted Kamala, but he's like, listen, America, I'll give you what you want.
Yeah.
and deal with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can we work with the text? Can we work with that? 'Cause
Uh-oh.
Here it comes.
Work with
preached
the
on
Here
it.
it comes. Here it comes.
Okay. All right.
There's the other side of it, like God
Yeah.
giving them what they want, but also dealing with the fact that Samuel had to anoint Saul.
Right.
He had to watch and embrace someone perform a role that he himself has been raised from. He was the qualified one, not
That's
Saul.
right. That's
Mhm.
right.
He was the qualified one, and even to go further, he's anointed him. He has to do this publicly.
Right.
He has to embrace Saul publicly.
I told Migs this one. Go ahead, Migs.
Mhm.
Yeah. and Mick, that's why God said, listen, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting God. Right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes. Go,
Yeah.
Migs.
And
I
so
cut you off. Go, Migs.
Samuel has to go through that grieving process himself. He has to go through that grieving process, and he's also there to correct Saul.
Mm.
So he continues to serve in a role
Wow.
and to maintain a connection. He never made it an adversary positioning between Saul. He didn't do to Saul what Saul did to David.
Right. Right.
He was still able to maintain the lines of communication, to maintain a relationship, so that when Saul was falling, he was able to give him warnings.
Boom. Speak truth to power. Yes.
Okay.
Speaking truth to power.
Yes.
Like, y'all may not want me,
Right.
but he's serving in a role that is for the betterment of the people. The mission does not change because y'all haven't chose me.
Whoa.
It has.
Hold
not
on. Wait one
changed.
second. We said Samuel. What?
All right, now.
I'm going with that. Do me a favor,
That's
producer.
First Samuel.
Yeah.
I think it's
Samuel 8.
I get that, producer. When you get a chance, I know this keeps playing. Cut this off. Make you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Cut this one out.
Yeah,
No replays on this one. No replays on this one.
But
Go ahead.
It's tough, and I think this is the weight that people are feeling. And I had a moment, I'm not going to lie to you, where I felt that, where you're not sure what the future looks like. If they can reject one of the few people who have served in all three branches of government, if you can reject someone who had a plan from the beginning, not fragments of a plan, if you can reject someone that is educated, that is well spoken, who is qualified, if you can reject this,
mercy, preach
for that, where does my hope lie in? Like, will America ever see me as a Black woman who is educated and qualified? Will America ever embrace me? But I want to, I don't know, I don't have all of the answers yet, but I want to encourage my sisters, especially who are women, are crying and physically grieving this thing.
Rejected.
Yes, that listen, your history has told you that y'all have always been overqualified. Always. You women have added
Wall Street, Migs, everywhere. Everywhere.
Just destroying the game. Right?
all my life. Sorry.
It doesn't mean that, unfortunately, that Kamala was going to undo all of that. Let's be clear about that, right? But do not give up yet. Also, your hope cannot be anchored in this thing. Your identity cannot be anchored in this.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, even Paul says in Colossians 3, set your eyes on the things above, where Christ sits on the right hand of God. Listen, I know people don't want to hear this right now, but when
it's time to hear it now. We had a few days.
When your hope is anchored in these things that could be voted for and not on a seat earned by Christ himself, man, you're gonna be yeah. It's real. Listen, this thing is broken. This thing is jacked up. This thing is unfair. It is a lot, but we can't get our identities attached with these things, man.
Yeah, no, and just a shout out to what you. Oops, sorry, wrong one.
But we'll take the money talks though.
No, I was gonna, you know, you saying what you said, Migs, and Rhonda referencing that there are other men, you know, saying this online. Like, you don't realize how much you need to hear that until it's being said, to feel seen or to understand what that must have felt like for a group of people feeling like that rejection personally all over again, even though it wasn't you on the spot. It's still a representation of what so many people have gone through and experienced, and I'm happy that other people resonated with that other than women of color.
You know, I didn't know my wife wasn't. She was connected to Kamala very much so, but she didn't care about the policies or she didn't care about the policies. That didn't make a difference to her. I remember saying something that was not in line with her thinking concerning Kamala, and she didn't talk to me for a day and a half, maybe 2 or close to 2. Yeah, and I'm serious. You know how
to understand.
She's like, listen, no, you talked about her. I was like, hun, we don't even know her personally, and she's getting in between our conversation. But when my daughter, when her hurt was different, I had to do a lot of digging, and not spiritual digging, to get to her heart, you know, to get to her soul, because there was a huge hole left in her heart over this. Being in her field, in the healthcare, the people she hangs out with, she still needs more. She needs more than a hug. You know what I mean? So I couldn't even go to her with a biblical standpoint. I had to tell her that I had to be on the side of saying, Jazz, you're worth it to me. You're worth everything to me.
That's what,
and it had to come from one standpoint instead of coming from another standpoint, because our young women was hurt by this.
Oh yeah.
One of my elders, real quick, he's works at Howard University as a professor, and he said the next day he has over 100 and something students in each classes altogether. It has 100 and something students. He said there's a total of 3 students that came to class.
Wow.
That he said that this was a devastating blow for them. And I get it and I understand it, and I still have to be mindful that there are those who's going through a soul hurt. This
still bruised.
Yep.
Yeah. I you know, and I know we're almost out of time, but I do want to talk a little bit about how we navigate this, because I mean, as much as many of us have gotten to the point where we've done our processing, we've accepted what it is, you know, we're encouraging ourselves in the Lord, there is still a heaviness that weighs on many of us.
Sure.
Particularly when you're going into spaces, whether it's at work or, you know, where maybe the people around you can't relate to what you're feeling. They may even be triumphing and rejoicing and sharing what they're looking forward to about the next administration. And I saw a lot of people talking about the amount of restraint they've had to exercise over the last few days, because people are just being very flippant with their comments now and things like that. So how are we navigating these spaces where people, you know, they just don't feel the same way we do? And you know how it is when you're on the winning team, you know, sometimes there's a little bit of gloating that may take place, a lot of insensitive comments that they may or may not realize. How are we navigating those spaces, or how should we be navigating those?
Yeah, I think now more than ever, it's important for everyone to practice self-care and exercising boundaries, because some folks will say slick comments to you. They will do things that will tempt you to react a certain way. So if you're not grounded properly, you know, you may cave in. And so do what you can to unplug, exercise self-care. But sometimes we cannot avoid it. We have to be in spaces where we're uncomfortable, or we have to deal with listening to things or agendas that do not sound pleasing to us. But the reality is we have to stay focused on our purpose. And the reality is In 2026 in November, there's going to be a midterm election.
That's right.
And there are, let me not misquote myself. 2026 November, there are 20 Republican and 13 Senate seats right now, but there will be 33 Senate seats open by November 2026. And so now is the time to organize, galvanize, strategize. You don't like the plan right now?
Yeah.
Come up with a plan, unify, do something, but don't just sit and gloat for the next 2 years. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To add to what GP has stated, I think we got to examine everybody, every single politician that's serving. We got to see if I'm so serious, because you know what I'm tired of? Y'all come around and y'all promising us Bentleys and mansions, and I can do this from the ground up, and I can y'all talk a good game when it's election time and to get you into office, but when you get in, you saying your hands are tied. Nah, everybody getting checked. We're not having this anymore. I'm not having this anymore. Democrat or Republican, did you live up to what you said you're going to do?
Mm-hmm. Accountability. Yeah.
That's it. Because listen, our future is on the line here.
Mm-hmm.
And this, like, being too cozy with whomever, I don't care if you friend or foe. Listen, when we're doing business, personally speaking, I don't know. I remember back in the day, Henry Wright had these Holy Spirit and your temperament thing.
Yeah.
I'm a sanguine choleric, right? I'm all happy, jolly until it's time to do business. Yeah. When it's time to do business, it's time to do business. We can laugh and giggle after that.
Right.
But when it's time for business, it's time for business. And we're not going to take the rhetoric anymore. We're not going to take, I'm tired of politicians turning into victims now.
Yeah.
Nah. When y'all were talking big and bad.
Yeah. Do what you say. Say what you mean. Say what you mean. What you say. Yeah. And you know what? Last week we kind of talked about this, and I know, I may have my thoughts about Ted Wilson, but I'm not going to stop being an Adventist because of it. I don't know who's going to win that election. I'm not going to be, and I go from the top levels of our denomination to the lowest level of our denomination. I still believe in God's permissive will, and I believe in God's perfect will. That's what keeps me sane right now. I want to be in His perfect will, but I understand that it's His permissive will. But I'm not leaving. Somebody called me. I had a great conversation with family. They're like, "Yo, we moving to Jamaica. You coming?" I'm like, "Coming to go where? For what?" I mean, I'm sorry, Migs, I'm not going. I mean, we all going to Panama. Go there. I'm not going. I'm not going to Panama. I mean, I'm not going to run away from this thing. My faith requires me to practice, to work. Yes, GP, to work it. Right. I was ashamed, and I'll tell you, I've always been ashamed to put up, and that's me. And so I'm not talking about anybody else, to put up who I was voting for, or the policies I stood for. I said I didn't want to do all of that, but I felt it necessary for people to know. It's quick for me to say that I believe in Jesus Christ. Is the quickest for me to say, listen, I believe in this person, or I believe that this person will lead us, or etc. I'm not going to hide that thing. So thanks, GP, for already making us aware that there's another election that's coming up.
Yeah,
including our local election. Including our local election.
Oh, yeah.
You ought to know who your
representatives
are, education, and your sheriffs, and you ought to know what they're all about. And pastors, the same way. You might not live in your community, but know who your sheriffs are in the community that you pastor in, and etc. Because our voice needs to be heard in some way or another. So, Migs, I'm with you. I'm not sitting back anymore, but I'm not with a frown.
Right. Yeah. Allow those emotions to fuel you towards doing something about it, as opposed to having kind of this defeatist attitude. I mean, honestly, after the results, I was feeling away. I'm not going to lie. And, I talked to my husband about it, processed it all. But as soon as I left that garage door open and I pulled out, No, the world. No. You're not gonna walk
Don't
around.
let them see you sweat.
This black woman looking like she been defeated. No, I'm still showing up.
Are you gonna paint your car?
I'm about to ask her that. I was just about to. Yo, GP, I was just about to ask her that.
Yeah, y'all not gonna ruin my favorite color. I'm sorry.
Paint that joint blue.
But no, it's like you have to show up in the world. And I'm saying that to say we have to still show up in the world saying we are here.
Yeah.
You know, we will not be disregarded. Things may not go the way that we want, but our presence is here. What we stand for still matters. Who we are still matters. And the way we navigate during this time is going to mean a lot.
Sure.
You know, we can't be walking around. Now, I'm not saying don't be cautious, because GP, if that was me, I would have done the same thing that you did. Turn right back around when I saw that rally happen. I'm saying be bold, but don't be stupid. But you know, we live here too. We live here.
That's right.
This may not be the country we want it to be right now, but it's where we are, right? So we need to show up as we are, and not let people beat us down, because I think that's what a lot of people want. They want us to fall apart over this. They want us to just give up and not care about what happens in 2 years and make it an easy road for some people. So
can I add one thing?
Absolutely.
I want to challenge us to have a greater sense of empathy. And it's difficult to say this because
thank you for saying it, though.
It's difficult. It is difficult because I'll put it like this. When I met my wife, there were a lot of things that I did daily that my wife showed me that it was a part of my privilege as being male. There's certain things, there's certain security concerns that I don't have to think about. Right. This is not even, this is just even traveling, right? We're traveling on the road. Man, I could use the bathroom anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hold my nose for 30 seconds, ain't no problem. But
listen,
just have it.
Legs, Tasha said, yeah.
And then I was like, okay.
That's just what it is.
Yeah.
But I had to realize that this is not okay. There's certain standards that it doesn't make her any weaker or anything like that. It's just there's certain things that she has to process differently. And so with Trump in office, we are sensitive to some of the stuff that he's saying. And so it's challenging for me to say that we ought to have some empathy. But I want us to get to a point where we can have civil conversations with people who think differently from us. And that requires us to have certain empathy. So what a lot of women process this moment as, and I saw it online, is that people hate us and our rights to our own bodies. That's what it became for a lot of women.
Sure.
But the reality is, whatever state you're in, you had a chance to vote. Now, I don't know enough history to know how you can defederalize a law. So I need to do a lot of research on this to understand how that happens. But you do have some level of power locally. And I would love to understand the nuances, because there was some stuff that came up in that conversation in terms of reproductive rights that I thought wouldn't have come up in terms of if we're talking abortion and all that kind of stuff. But I want us to have empathy. I want us to have dialogue with reasonable people who can articulate their thoughts. Reasonable people.
So there are some conditions to how
there are some conditions.
Thank you for stating those, please.
Yeah, you just open yourself up to abuse, if you're dealing with an unreasonable person, right? But to have the conversations, because honestly, it might be your uncle, it might be your friend who voted for Trump.
Best friend.
They just your best friend.
Could be your mama, your daddy.
I don't know about my mama.
They don't have a forum to be able to talk things through. They don't have that space because there's a witch hunt. Did you vote for Trump? Did you,
Yeah.
They have to be able to, they got to be able to open up. And because honestly, one of the downfalls was that folks were talking down on Trump supporters, that Trump supporters are of low IQ, or they're this and that. And when that becomes the pervasive thought online, you don't allow for open conversations for folks to talk through their thoughts. And so we can weed out some of the inconsistencies and how or maybe we can agree and to disagree, but we are all going towards the same path. And so in order to combat some of the radicalization that's happened online, I think we got to start having the conversations.
Yeah. And I know we have to go, but I did want to talk about that. So I'm glad you brought it up, Mix, because I have seen a lot of people, we've seen and if you vote for Trump, unfriend me now, and this is why
it's out there.
This is why, like they're not even just saying just unfriend me. Like they're giving talking points, like, because if you believe and going down some of the things that he stands for and saying these go against my values, and if this is how you feel, then we shouldn't be friends because we don't value the same thing. And I was seeing a lot of this kind of going back and forth on the timeline, and I mean, I was feeling like I had understanding on both, because I'm the type of person, listen, you really can't cut somebody off just because they don't believe the way you believe. But then at the same time, you're thinking about, wow, like, particularly if it's something that affects you that doesn't affect them, you feel a certain way about it, because it's almost like, wow, you don't even care about me. You're going to be good. I'm not. So does that mean you value me? I mean, these are the types of things people are using to determine whether or not how you vote can determine how we roll, because there's so many interpretations into why you voted that way that doesn't, benefit me. Whereas over here, the perception is we would all be okay, but you chose the spot where just you would be okay. And that's why I have an issue with you. But I do think we need to find some way, like you said, Migs, to be able to have those conversations without getting so worked up.
Yeah.
I admit some debates I can't watch, because when I hear people so passionate about something that just to me sounds ridiculous, I have to understand that's because from your perspective, from your construct, from your experience, that makes no sense. But to them, they honestly believe it. And I struggle sometimes, Migs. You have to help me. I struggle sometimes with hearing things that don't make any sense to me, and I have to be sensitive to it. You know what I mean? I mean, so, help me out with that. How do you draw that line between I can have a conversation, hear your perspective?
Yeah, I have a friend, childhood friend that I've been privileged to share on college campuses and other events publicly on our political disagreements. He is a Black young man like me, but he is on the different political he is of a different political persuasion.
Right.
And so we don't disagree on pretty much anything politically, but we've maintained our friendship literally. And so we've done this in private and we've had a chance to do it publicly. But one of the things I've realized is that you've got to learn how to listen and to practice utilizing, I call, intellectual humility. That means even if you know you're right, and you know they are wrong, have the humility to wait, listen, to hear, and not just to respond to prove how they're wrong.
Right.
And so the more I listen, the more I learn about why they think the way they do, and I can learn more about their reasonings and more about the craziness that they subject themselves to. So, I may make fun of him sometimes, but I am beginning to understand, okay, I see why they go hard for immigration, even if they're discriminating against their own kind. I kind of get it because I've listened for so long, but it takes time. And you need to be willing to listen and to make space for it. And I'm not telling you to go out of your way to build a Republican friendship or a Democrat-Republican friendship if it's on the other side for you. But when you have an opportunity to have a conversation, don't be quick to cancel. Find commonalities and figure out what you have in common and build from there.
Yeah.
But whenever you cancel, you miss out on an opportunity to hear the other side and get to know somebody better.
I agree. And I mean, this goes beyond politics. I mean, sometimes it's difficult with politics though, because that's like affects people's livelihood than other topics. But it's true. I feel like you don't always want to be around people who believe the same thing that you believe all the time. You know what I mean? Because that's not how you stretch yourself. That's not how you grow. That's not how you strengthen what your own convictions are. I mean, so there is a way to be able to coexist with someone that does not feel the same way that you feel. I do think that there may be a line drawn when a person may be overtly pushing something, because sometimes there are people who post things online and it in support of something that you feel strongly against, and it's almost like they're trying to push your buttons. And some people say, I don't want to be around that, so I'm gonna, delete this person or unfriend this person because I need to protect my peace, or I need to make sure that I'm not being triggered by this type of conversation. And I do understand that. I do understand sometimes you may have to disconnect from certain people if, but I don't think we should do it to the point where we can't coexist, or we, unfriend the person in real life because, we don't agree on politics. But anyway, so we've had a lot to say.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm getting a lot of text messages, and
oh yeah, okay. And I'm sitting here trying to read some of the comments.
I'm trying to answer in a nice way.
All right. So, what is the date of the inauguration in 2025?
I think it's January 25th.
Really?
Is that late?
I think so.
Oh, maybe. Okay. I'm still,
so.
January 6th is like engraved in my mind. So I'm so sorry. I'm thinking about the wrong. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay.
January 20th.
20th.
Okay. January 20th. 20th.
So that is when the new reign begins.
That's how you want to end this, GP?
No, I'm just stating the facts, right? I mean, I forgot. Some people forgot that after an election, it's not effective immediately.
Right.
But there's so much,
we still have our
attention
current
and
president.
there's celebration, there's lamenting. People forget, oh, wait, there's still a president working right now.
It's because they already start rolling out what the next administration is planning to do. So like everybody's just bracing for what's coming instead of like, looking at where we are right now. So.
On Martin Luther King's birthday? Oh my.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's not funny. So they won't be. Hey, listen.
I'm sorry, Rodney Smith. I'm a little tired of you. Why don't you give me a call? My number is 610.
See, this is what I think when I'm talking about that antagonistic side. Some people are like, oh,
well, no, I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on.
That's
my number. I'll give it to you personally. I just want to talk to you. I just want to talk to you. So can you just get in contact with me real quick? And it's not a bad thing. I really want to talk to you.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like D is catching up on our conversation earlier.
There's a lot of people
we were talking about
to it before. Yeah.
Yeah. So many deaths that are kind of. But anyway. But no, I thank you guys for having this discussion. I mean, I guess we can close out with where we are.
No, I have very thick skin. Rodney, let me give you my phone number. Seriously, call me.
Listen. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thin skin.
UpSet is a safe space for us to be upset, right? And so to be upset, but the other side of UpSet is we also want to set you up for something better when you leave here. So it's okay.
I heard the prophetess. I hear the prophetess speak.
It's okay for us to be our emotions and be honest about our feelings, but in the end, we always point back to where we need to. Which, okay, guys, I know you didn't want to hear anything from the Bible this week, but I have to say, guys, it's time. It's time to go. This is our only hope. Let's be honest.
It's our time.
Go with the song, though. My hope is built on nothing less.
This is the only thing that gave me, and I know we're ending, but a lot of people were saying, what do I tell my children? You know what I mean? And because to me, it's really important how we as parents show up for our children when these things happen, because they're watching us. Okay. They've been in it. If they're at a certain age, they're watching. And I told my children, I was like, guys, this just reminds us that this is not our final home. Like we live here right now and we can't always control what happens on this earth, in this space, but we can control where we end up, right? We can make our choices.
Pastor Hewitt.
Stop it. we can make our choices in such a way where we won't lose. Okay. Because when we accept Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, I feel like I'm just kidding. No, but honestly, for those people who say I shouldn't vote because you don't know how it's going to turn out, this is one vote you can cast.
Yes.
Where you're guaranteed to win.
Yeah.
And if you can't focus on anything else right now, you should be focused on that. Don't let this world distract you from our ultimate goal. That's the superpower of Christians, right? Because we know this is not it. This is not it.
Turn it up.
We feel it because we're in here, but this is not it, people. This is not it. All right, I'm done. All right.
No,
that's good.
All right. But yeah, we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right.
Our closing hymn is We Are Nearing Home. We are nearing home.
Mix.
Is there one?
Oh my God. You guys are so funny.
Like I said, even like Larita saying the same thing. Go ahead, preach.
And you know what? It's funny because you're not even trying to be. It's just what I've been telling myself, y'all. That's all. What I've been telling myself all week because I need to have perspective to be able to operate. So it helps me. But no, once again, great discussion, guys. Go ahead, Pat.
No, can I just say no? I want to say that I thank God for this this space because sometimes you don't know what to say. It's also easy from the pulpit because you know what to say from the pulpit. You're speaking for 40 minutes. In Mig's case, an hour and something. But I'm saying you
trying to call you out.
You know what to say. But I'm glad to be amongst friends to be able, and those who are online, who are our friends online, to just be able to speak through this thing. Because Migs, thank you. You said some things that'll help me along the way. Not everything, but makes caught. Not everything makes, but and I want to be open. I want to be open. I do. I want to be open. I'm not all the way there, but I do want to be open to learn more and to listen more. So I thank God for it. I thank God for it. Go ahead, Latasha. Go ahead and preach again. I'm sorry, cut off here.
No. I'm done now. I said all I need to say.
I thought you were hoop.
Yeah, she was going to a hoop. I think one of us stopped her right when she was getting ready to hoop.
This is what happens when you talk with a bunch of pastors, man. I tell you. But I love it. But no, guys, thanks for the discussion. Thanks for your honesty, for being open and being vulnerable. And thank you to our audience for sharing your thoughts and your opinions in the comments. We always appreciate reading them. And thank you for being part of this discussion. And of course, we'll be back next week. Same time, same place. Be safe out there. We love you. No one told you today. We love you. We see you. It's gonna be all right.
Big's here it comes. Here she comes.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna say have a great week. That's all.
Peace, everybody. Peace.
Have a great week.
All right. Bye. Happy Veterans Day.